And battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance, pushing limits, seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on. It's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, the right here makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer. The shoes, unbelievably comfortable. And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the
Well, good evening, curling fans, and welcome to draw number 3 here at the AMJ Players Championship. Our fifth event this season on the Grand Slam of
It's a gold line. It's a gold
Couple
line.
quick announcements before we meet the teams. Great sponsorship on both sides of the arena. If you want to head up on there on each concourse, there's sponsor setup. They've got great giveaways, great contests. You can check out what they're all about and what they have to offer. Also, the Rock Shop is open on the west side, just under the W2 and W3 side at the entrance. If you want to check out the merchandise, see what you can grab. Is open. You can head on down there, see your favorite teams on ice level, grab a drink, and enjoy the game up close and personal.
We gotta not kill that. It's gotta just be in the catch zone.
I mean, my gut is like hack to board and just roll 3 feet. 2 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably just hack.
You're always touching the 6.
I don't know that this leaves the 4 foot with hack. I just,
Like Johnson's just
yeah, instead, no, it's gonna go spinning. This actually might catch too and just leak back. I think it does. Okay, so it might, yeah. Close to that hammer.
focus of the players. Sometimes you just couldn't hear yourself thinking. We need to like use signs, show what we meant instead of just shouting at it. Played us in, kind of thing. We had to show everything. And that added another level, I guess, to the game. Better when the crowd is louder and you can't hear us.
This one here, can't hear yet for line ever. No, line like line. Now does it have the speed? They like the line. Does it have the speed? They're going hard for line. You have to get by this top yellow. Trevor Johnson leaning on it. He's by it. Now does it stop in time? Has to stop in time. What a shot from Ryland Kleider. We thought it was maybe the hardest option up from the booth, but that's why we're not down there.
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance, pushing limits, seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on. It's a gold line.
It's a gold line. It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Pressure's on. Every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance, pushing limits, seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms? Light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
Final stone.
Girl, easy! Whoa!
Does he have it? Yes, he does! What a shot! John Schuster! Oh my goodness! A third of a rock for... That would make sense when I did curl.
We gotta not kill that. It's gotta just be in the catch zone.
I mean, my gut is like hack to board and just roll 3 feet. 2 feet.
Yeah? Yeah, I think it's probably just hack.
You're always touching the 6.
I don't know that this leaves the 4-foot with hack.
Really good spots for Miller.
I think John's in a situation where he needs to send one of the right guards back.
Hello, curling fans, and welcome inside the Mattamy Athletic Centre here in Toronto, Ontario, home of the AMJ Campbell Players Championship, the fifth and final event on the 2024-2025 Grand Slam of Curling calendar. It is the opening draw 3 of the competition for these two teams. It's AMJ Gim facing off against Anna Hasselborg. John Cullen with you, and pleased to be joined by two-time Scotties champion Chelsea Carey. And we apologize for joining in progress, but here we are. Chelsea, couple Hasselborg stones right behind that Gim guard to start.
Yeah, they went around the Gim guard and then a flash. Unfortunate flash for Team Gim there, allowed a chance to go around again, but does look like they left a little pocket. Both of those maybe a tiny bit deeper than they would have hoped.
So this Team Gim ranked number 6 in the world coming into this game, curling out of Uijeongbu, South Korea. The skip is AMJ Gim. The third is Min-ji Kim. Throwing right now is the second Soo-ji Kim, and the lead is Yeun Sol. That's pretty good there from Soo-ji.
Yeah, it's a pretty good, it does look like yellow's still sitting too, but it's a pretty good angle and usable, and that created a little pocket with those yellows at the back, so that would have been what they were trying to do. I do think that Agnes can probably get to the inside of this and roll underneath that guard a tiny bit, and that would probably be a pretty good setup. You're going to jam it on your own, but that's okay.
This Anna Hasselborg team up to number 3 in the world after their WFG Masters win in Guelph, Ontario back in January, curling out of Sundbyberg, Sweden. Skip is Anna Hasselborg, third Sarah McManus, second Agnes Knockenhauer, and lead Sophia Maubergs. And I guess that was tight out of the hand, Chelsea. They didn't even really try to sweep it.
Yeah, they barely touched it, though. That was a bit odd.
Well, I almost wonder if maybe they're calling the audible to try to roll onto the rings, like Agnes was maybe it picked or super tight out of her hand.
Yeah, I think they must have been, because otherwise they would have been sweeping it, but they probably could have got it by if they would have swept it.
Yeah.
Either way, not the result they would have been looking for on that one.
So Suji Kim going to run back the redstone she just threw, I think. Oh, they're trying to carve this, so maybe they're just hitting that yellow outright.
Yeah, I think she was trying to go through the hole here, but it needs to curl.
Got to get by that top red, and it does.
Leaves a double back, though, but you probably take your yellow with it. Most of the time, anyway.
Hasselborg is starting with hammer here in the first. Probably want to stick the shooter here.
Yeah, I think you're a little less concerned about where everything else goes as long as you stick somewhere. Would love to kill at least one red. Throwing this fairly hard.
Mm-hmm. And they lose everything. Does the yellow stick around? It does. Very nice from Agnes Knockenhauer. But an open hit to lie 2 here for Gim.
Yeah, opportunity to keep this open early, but this is a long time to keep an open force going, so will require some precision. And I know in the game I was calling earlier, there was still some figuring out of the ice. It is the first draw for both of these teams, so we saw some hits do some surprising things. We saw it be kind of straight to the wing in some spots. We saw it really curl to the middle, so both teams in that game getting a little bit caught, and so we could see that here, but no mistake from Team Gim on this one.
Yeah, nice shot from Minji. And to your point, Chelsea, I was coaching on this sheet last night.
Ah, yes.
It was my curling coach debut, actually.
I was going to say, was that your coach debut?
Yeah, it's a good thing the Grand Slams don't insist that you're carded, because otherwise I wouldn't have been allowed on the bench. But yeah, it was a great experience last night, the Battle of the Sexes, Team Mowat and Team Homan. And I only bring that up not to pump my own tires with my 100% coaching record, but it was on this sheet, and both teams were a little confused, and the tricky spots tended to be straight, was what I was hearing, particularly from Team Homan. They have that very positive rotation, and I feel like they were thinking that the ice was quite straight. Not sure if that's how it was for you earlier when you were commentating, but that was the kind of feedback I was getting from the players last night.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We weren't on this sheet earlier. We were on B, but it wasn't dished, but almost dished. A lot of curl to the middle and not a lot to the wings, which isn't common at these Grand Slam events. So we saw, unfortunately for them, especially the Americans, Corey Dropkin's team really struggled to get that figured out. But we did see a few really curl from the outside in as well, where it was almost a flash by Ross White on a rock that he threw quite well. It just really surprised them. So just a little bit of fresh pebble and sheet shape and things that they're still kind of getting their heads wrapped around. In theory, this sheet, because it did have a game on it last night, should be the closest to broken in and up to speed, because they've at least already played one extra game because of that Battle of the Sexes last night, where the rest of these sheets would not have had that.
So chance for Team Hasselborg to get out of it here. Minji Kim rolling towards her own redstone in the wings. Double called for Sarah McManus. And double made. Very nice. And I think I know where we're heading here, Chelsea.
Yeah, I am with you.
Didn't take us long, but we're taking the bullet train to Blanksville here. Did you get a chance to catch any of the game last night?
Yeah, I was out for dinner, but so I watched it, but I couldn't hear it. But it was it seemed like it was quite well received. The crowd was great. That was awesome to see. So it was, I think, overall a success from what I gathered.
I mean, it was for me personally, but
well,
yes,
it was your coaching debut.
Exactly, coaching debut, and I won.
Number one team in the world, and, and a 100% record.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
a pretty nice way to step into coaching.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you can give the instruction of, well, boys, I think we just make everything.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, coach, you got it.
Sold.
And then they do.
And then they do.
So, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm a little jealous. I know that Michael Goodfellow does a lot for those guys, but also
It's a pretty good coaching.
They're
gig.
extremely good. They're
Yeah,
extremely good. Yeah.
They are very good at curling. I was at Men's Worlds last week, and I watched them all the way through. They are very, very good curlers.
Yeah, no question about it. So just an open hit here for Anna Hasselborg with her first in the first. Yeah, one thing that actually really impressed me that you don't usually get from like a broadcast perspective sitting right behind the sheet is like, and this is true of Rachel as well, but Bruce in particular, and not that they all didn't do this, but Bruce and Rachel in particular, they slide so straight. And you really get a look at that. Like, it's just, their slides are perfect, and they're the same every time. And you really get a good view of that from the back, you know, because you can't always see a little bit of a fishtail or whatever when you're looking from the front. And I was just so impressed with how consistent both of them were, just arrow straight right at the broom every time. It was really kind of a pleasure to watch just from that perspective. So this should be a fairly simple blank here for Anna Hasselborg. Doesn't have too far to roll to make sure that her shooter doesn't count. Final stone, first end. Anna Hasselborg looking for the blank. Not throwing a gun at this.
No, pretty controlled for a blank weight,
Yeah.
but I think a little afraid of it being straight.
Yeah. So just that up normal, makes no mistake, does Anna Hasselborg. So we'll put a couple zeros on the board. Hasselborg will keep the hammer when we come back.
The 2025-2026 Grand Slam of Curling schedule is out, with big events happening all over Canada, like the Masters heading to London in September, the Tour Challenge from Nisku this October, the Canadian Open from Saskatoon in December, and the Players' Championship from Steinbeck coming in January. Early bird weekend and full event passes on sale now at gsoctickets.com. Let's rock.
So it looked like we were going to maybe have a bit of an exciting first end. We did have a guard in play and a few rocks behind the tee line, but ends up in a blank for Anna Hasselborg. You are watching the AMJ Campbell Players Championship. We joined the first end in progress and didn't give you this update, but unfortunately we do not have the players mic'd this evening. There was a bit of a miscommunication from our side of things in terms of getting the mics on the correct players, and so you're just going to have to deal with me and Chelsea only all night. We apologize. You won't hear the dulcet tones of teams Hasselborg and Gim, but we'll try our best.
Well, I only apologize to people that speak Korean or Swedish, because other than that, I don't think the mics would be that helpful. But yes, that is the situation as it stands.
That's true. You and I will have to.
My Swedish and Korean are both pretty bad.
Mine are bad too. I wouldn't be able to translate, but I wonder if we start saying words, then maybe. I don't know. I went for a Korean lunch today with Eunjung Kim and Anna Hasselborg. We did a little content feature coming out later this week, and I feel like this is turning into like a bragging stream, but Eunjung was actually said I had a good like Korean accent.
Oh wow, look at you.
No, I mean I only said like 3 words, but she was impressed with the 3 words I could say. So I almost wonder if maybe there's a future for me in Korean.
Maybe you secretly speak Korean and you just don't know it yet.
I need to have one of those like freak medical accidents where I get hit with a golf ball in the head or something, and all of a sudden I'm fluent in Korean.
Yeah, it's instead of getting some sort of superpower, you just speak Korean all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's something of a superpower.
Hey, I would take it.
So Ye-Yun Seol, nice draw behind that center guard. Gim lying one without the hammer here. Oh, sorry, it was actually Suji Kim that threw that. My apologies. Sophia Maberg's to follow here. Oh, I think they were trying to freeze that. Goes just behind.
Yeah, that was the initial call, but I think that they called the audible, but they didn't want to sweep it because it was heavy. So a bit of a miss there by Sophia, uncharacteristic.
And I lied, it was Yeun that threw the one before. I haven't commentated since January, and I forgot that Sophia is lead and not second.
You're rusty.
I was like, oh, Sophia's throwing, so that must have meant that Suji threw. No.
Nope.
This is Suji's first stone now here in the second end. I promise by the end of the week I'll have it sorted out. Run back called here for Agnes Knockenhauer. Feel like you could get all three here. Certainly you can get all three of them moving.
Yeah, definitely.
And she will get two. Double peel made and rolls to a corner. Very nice from Agnes, who we saw make that insane, what was it, septuple takeout at the Women's Worlds.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, she can chuck the big weight with the best of them.
Yeah, rolling to a corner guard is a pretty big bonus there too. It's probably more important than even getting that third rock moving. It opens up that middle, but still leaves you the chance to set up a, I don't want to say low risk because there's a red rock on the top of the forefoot, but a fairly low risk deuce.
So looking to replace the guard here is Suji Kim. That's very nice.
Probably tighter than they wanted, but they had to sweep it to get it to curl. It's one of those ones where you want to leave it long enough that the run back is long, but not so long that they can chase it. And that's like a very fine line a lot of the time.
For sure. When I feel like there's always a lot of talk about ice and rocks when you're at World Championships, and you know, you hear it from the teams even in post-game interviews now about rocks getting sharpened and this and that, and feels like the slam ice, you know, is going to be very consistent, and you know you're going to have the ability to chase with the down hit weight. And that's certainly the case here for Agnes Knockenhauer, trying to get by this center guard. And that's just a little light, I think, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think so too. But she did. That was sort of the plan B. Anna indicated that she didn't mind if you rubbed, but if you rubbed it, you wanted to move it further than that. So not far off, but probably minimum weight. Would have liked a few feet more, so that by ticking that center guard, you at least fully opened up that red stone in the top of the forefoot, and also rolled your shooter a little bit further under cover.
This is one of those ends that I would have hated as a player when you don't have the hammer, when your opponent's kind of missing, but they're also stacking rocks up in good positions at the same time, and these are the ends where you blink and all of a sudden you're giving up 4.
Yeah, the biters come back to bite you if you're not careful, but at the same time you have a rock that's so good that it's hard not to want to protect it.
Exactly.
But you need to protect against the 3 or 4, so probably a hit is smart here.
Yeah, I think especially this early in the game too, right? You never want to get yourself out of it this early. Minji Kim, former World Junior silver medalist. And the one of the best thirds at the Women's Worlds, I believe, was on the second All-Star team there, just behind Tracy Fleury. Trying to roll right beside their red.
Not bad, not great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's okay.
Right beside it is better than if they'd left any space at all, it's a gimme double, just a pocket double. But now when they're really close together, it's a deceptively hard double because you have to hit them kind of both at the same time. Your shooter probably goes flying, and you might not kill one of them depending on how much you hit. So these are a little bit trickier than they look.
It is the double called, though, for Sarah McManus. We'll see if she can hit it in the right spot here.
They have the added benefit of being able to throw it quite hard, and that's not even that hard for Sarah, but it's plenty to make the shot.
Agnes on this right out of the hand, trying to find the perfect middle of these two. Do you get the red going far enough? I mean, far enough to lie too. Very nice, Sarah McManus.
Far enough to lie too, but leaves the force on the table potentially here. Still pretty good. Would have liked to hit that top one a little bit thinner, which is why they were sweeping it so much. Don't think you can make the double right now, but you can group these two together quite closely and leave that kicker on the side. Just have to be a little bit careful not to leave a double back here for Anna Hasselborg. This one is really curling.
Yeah, Yoon is leaning on this one, really trying to hold it. Again, just light.
Yeah, they set it right out of her hand. You saw the sweeper motion, that down motion, so they knew it right away, but just sometimes the speed looks good on this ice for draws based on the hog-to-hog times, but sometimes it can feel just that bit heavier underfoot, and it does seem that the houses are surprisingly dead when a rock hits another rock. They're not springing off each other like we often will see with these kinds of stones, so just a little bit different. And again, that's just the first game, kind of figuring those things out as they go through the week here.
Yeah, it seemed like that one was quite down, and same with Agnes's too, and both coming through the middle. You know, it'll be interesting, something to watch out for sure, because usually if you're light, you're not on a takeout, especially you're not, you know,
Yeah.
10, 12 feet light, and that's two in a row there we saw like that. So see if Sarah can get this one in a good spot. I think it'll be shot.
I think buried enough that she got away with it. The angle lines up well for Team Sweden in the sense that it looks an awful lot like a jam most of the time if you try to chase that yellow.
This is a little scary.
Yeah. It's quite a bit scary.
Like, I've had nightmares about this exact shot.
Yeah, I think you're being generous saying a little.
So yeah, I'm guessing with that broom calling the freeze here.
Yeah, I don't really know what else you do, though, is the other thing. Like, the only other option I see that makes much sense to me is the run back, and that's even scarier.
Oof, yeah.
So I think you kind of have to, even if you don't make this perfect, like even if you were heavy and you went by that top rock and froze to the back ones, like you just got to negate some of these yellows. And if you ever made it properly, then you cut down the scoring area. But yeah, not one that you really want to be throwing. As the thrower, you don't love this.
So it could be a potential end saver for Eunji Kim here. Looking to freeze on the yellow shot stone belonging to Team Hasselborg.
Line looks good.
It does look very good. Weight looks close too. That's really nice.
Well done.
Yeah, and even got that little curl inside, Chelsea. If you're on the other side of it, then Anna can run it. It jams on the red, and maybe you leave Anna lying 3 or 4. So
yeah, you had to get that across it a bit, and she did do that. And you also had to get enough separation that it wouldn't drag, and I think she did that too. So Really good shot there. They seemed fairly casual about that at the end and ended up absolutely perfect.
It's like when you hear Team Mowat say clean on like peel weight takeouts.
Yeah, it's like a run triple. They're like clean.
Clean. This is shaping up weirdly this end. Like these two shots feel like a normal Skip's last two shots.
Yes, agreed.
You make the freeze to force them to a hard draw for two.
Yeah.
But this is kind of also Anna's only shot right now, I feel like.
Definitely, yeah. You just got to try to sit two. And the nice thing for Anna is that by making that as well as they did for Team Gim, actually leaves her a stagger to come around here. So if she makes this properly, there's no way, no matter what they do, that Team Gim will be able to get both these rocks out.
So a good chance to set up a deuce here. For I got caught in between saying deuce and two, and just said do.
The rust continues.
Yeah. Oh my God. Someone get me a nap. I might have to take the third end off, Chelsea. Think about what I've done. Got to get by here.
Oh, nice shot.
That's pretty good.
Really good.
Team Hasselborg lying two, just a little kiss off their own. And if you're Team Gim here, Chelsea, what do you do?
Well, that's the problem. So you could play a chase on your own, but you're going to leave them a wide open shot for two anyway, but at least it would, in theory, only be for two. But that's not an easy chase either.
No. Well, and if you ever, it seems unlikely, but if you ever plugged your red into the wrong spot and gave Anna some kind of double for
a million. Yeah, that's what you have to be careful. But there's no freeze that makes you second shot, so you can't really take both. She's got the in-turn draw and the out-turn draw right now. The in-turn is harder because of the corner guard sort of being in your path a little bit, but you can't take both away. So beyond playing this soft weight chase and trying to tap it far enough that you sit second shot, I don't know what you do. Yeah, just like she indicated, move it just out of the forefoot. You're not going to be able to move it much further than that. But if you could get, you don't even have to get to nose. If you get to sort of half, three-quarters of a rock, then leave your shooter in the way of the in-turn draw and the run rock in the way of the out-turn draw. I think that's the best you could do. But it looks like she's running the guard into it, which is, I don't think you can hurt yourself terribly with this, because if you make any contact with that top red rock, it shouldn't be a shot for more than two.
But that's the only danger is you run it by, right?
Yeah.
And you hit your yellow onto that red in the back four.
Disaster.
Maybe draw for three then.
Yeah. So you just can't over curl this. She's throwing the out turn at it. So as long as you stay on the high side, I don't think you hurt yourself, but you might give up a draw for three if you don't rattle some yellows in the house here.
Big shot here for AMJ Gim. Her last here in the second.
Smart to play this quiet because you're trying to stick rocks in there, not roll off too far, but this one needs to curl. Oh, it's close.
Did they oversweep it? No. So just hits it right on the beak and does leave Anna Hasselborg a draw for two.
Pretty good shot still. A little bit unlucky to leave those sort of perfectly stacked and not spill one of them off into either draw path, but I would still say mission accomplished based on the fact that you just had to throw a 8-foot run back to not give up three.
Totally.
I'd call that a success.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It was almost harder to hit it on the beak there.
Yeah, it's hard to stick those both in there. And that's why you throw the quiet weight, because you don't want to spill them too far. But in this case, would have liked to spill them both a little bit further.
Yeah, make that draw tough.
Yeah. So now it's still not easy, but it's the same draw she just threw. So you have to think she'll be close.
Yeah, it doesn't have a ton of room here,
no.
Both by the guard and on top of her yellow. And she did kiss her yellow last time to get this rock there. So we'll see if Anna Hasselborg can finesse it here. Final stone in the first needs half of the forefoot for two. Malbergs and Knockenhauer seem to like it. Coming on it now a little bit. Got to get it there. Got to get it there. You buy the reds. Do you have enough of the forefoot? Yes, you do. Great sweep from Malbergs and Knockenhauer. Two on the board for Hasselborg. We'll get our first look at Gim with the hammer when we come back.
Every day you go new places. A small change in how you do things, or moving your things to a whole new town, or many things to many towns all at once. No matter how small the move, it can be a big leap from where you are now. You've got it in you to go new places. So do we. We go there every day. We're here to help you move to places on the map, in the mind, in the heart, or all three.
Go new places with AMJ Campbell. Contact us at 888-AMJ-MOVE or amjcampbell.com.
So a very solid second end there for Anna Hasselborg, putting 2 points up on the board. We'll see if Unji Gim can get it back here in the third. One thing we do know about this Gim team, Chelsea, they love rocks in play, and no lead feels safe. Not that 2-0 is ever a safe lead in curling, of course, but I would expect that they'll be pretty aggressive here in the third to try to get those 2 points back.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you don't hate blanking the third end and trying to get the deuce in 4, but you can't afford to be forced at any point here now, being 2 down. So it doesn't seem like a big lead, but it feels like it when you're going, geez, like we really need to get 2, but we can't afford to only get 1. That's a hard end to play. So they are going to go for it here, though, with the broom down for the corner guard.
Corner guard indeed goes up for Yeun. Come around called for Sophia Maubergs. She told me today, Chelsea, that she bought some Swedish candy for me to try and then forgot it at home.
Oh, devastating.
I know. Isn't that just about the worst story you ever heard?
That's such a tease.
I know. Well, because I've done I did a video with Maria Larsson on Team Vrano trying some Swedish candy, and then Sophia said, "Oh, did you have Tutti Frutti?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." And she said, "Well, that's the best Swedish candy. I'll have to bring you some."
So then she even told you how good it is, and then she forgot
told me how good it was and bought me some. Like, went out of her way to buy me some last time she was in Sweden, because as we know, she now makes her home in Saskatoon, where she lives with her partner. And yeah, she was like, when I was in Sweden, I bought some to bring for you, and then I left it in Saskatoon. And I said, well, okay, great. Thank you so much for that. Don't tell me.
Yeah,
you know what? Don't tell me.
Yeah, just surprise me next time and bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell me what I'm missing.
Yeah. It's like when I have comedy shows and friends tell me they're going to come and then they don't come. Yeah. It's like, I would never be mad if you just didn't come. But if you tell me you're going to come, then you don't come.
Yeah. Now you've like basically broken a promise.
Exactly. So let this be a lesson to all of you out there.
Don't cross John Cullen.
Well, I don't know if that was the lesson. I'm pretty timid. I'm probably the right guy to cross because I'm not going to do anything.
Except complain about it on air.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I have. This is the only power I have. So we get a classic setup here with the rocks around both the center and corner guards. Now we have a chase here for Agnes Knockenhauer. And that just squeaks by. Great sweep from Sophia, rolls into the open, but Hasselborg lies too.
Can you make the double off it, though? I don't know if you can kill the top yellow, but you might be able to move it. Looks like they're going to go to the run back here.
Yeah, that was not an easy chase. That looked like it was overburied, and a really good sweep from Sophia to just squeak it by that corner guard.
Yeah, it also looked like it was on the guard.
Yeah, 100%. The way they were acting and sweeping, I thought for sure it was on the guard. So that is forcing the run back here out of Team Gim. Little unlucky there for Suji, really close to getting both those yellows, but doesn't touch the side one and rolls the one she ran back into the 12-foot. This is all of a sudden starting to look a little troublesome.
It's looking a little force-ish right now.
Yeah. Draw around for Agnes Knockenhauer. And will it stop in time? It doesn't. I think they were hoping that was going to maybe get a little piece of that yellow.
Yeah, I would have loved to just kiss the backside of it so it stayed above the tee line, but it looks like for Team Gim not going to take on the freeze, and I can't say I blame them. If you freeze, you're really shrinking your own scoring area, so I think you want to keep this a little bit more open for now. Don't even really need to, you want to kill one of these yellows, but just basically play a hit and roll, quiet weight hit and roll behind the corner guard. Roll your shooter over there for second shot and buried, and then let Anna Hasselborg, then all of a sudden she's got to be a little bit nervous because you've got this rock, your second point kind of locked and loaded behind that corner guard.
Sweepers on this right away. Seol and Kim trying to hold this. Can you get by the center guard?
Whoa.
They do. What a sweep.
Great sweep.
That yellow one again, just hanging around the back. A little light again on the takeout. Probably forced that hard sweep and doesn't get the yellow out of the back. But still a great shot.
Yeah, I just think both teams a little bit surprised by how dead the rocks are hitting. There's not a lot of carry. And most of the time we do see that, is that sort of that spring off of each other with the lively striking bands and inserts and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just, that's not something you usually have to deal with, where they're probably throwing that with like a light bumper, a light board. And normally that's more than enough to kill the second rock. And here so far this week, it's not. So far this week, so far today.
Feels like it's been a week already.
Yeah.
So Anna seemed to be deliberating for quite a while here, Chelsea. What shots do you think she was mulling over there?
Well, like in a perfect world, you'd like to sit two, but by doing that, I think you're probably setting up some kind of double a lot of the time. So my guess is this is a corner freeze, maybe. Just try to take away the angle on that redstone, sit first and third. Needs to curl a bit and sit down. Doesn't quite get the freeze, but I don't think there's a double there. It's close.
Yeah, it did click off, but I think
Can't
that
see
guard,
enough of it though. Yeah, you could run. There's a run double for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, just that 2 feet too heavy from Sarah McManus. Line was pretty much perfect, but just clicks off. And does look like they are trying the run double here, Minji Kim.
Even if you don't make the run double, if you make some noise in there and leave your shooter somewhere here for another corner guard on the same side, it puts some pressure on Anna Hasselborg because there's not a lot of room for her to spread out two shot stones. Oh, they just overswept that a little bit early and they got on it to curl, but it was too late.
Yeah, that ended up being nowhere close for Minji Kim. Hasselborg still lying one here without the hammer.
Not the easiest to kill this red stone. I think you can. It's basically like a little bit on the low side with, but the yellow is almost in your way, not quite.
Oh, it's high risk too. If you ever nose this red, you're potentially in some trouble.
It's almost like that same kind of crotch double that we saw in the 10th, the last end, but with this time with 2 different colored stones, but very much the same concept where you're flirting with hitting them both at the same time, but you don't ever want to miss it the wrong way. Like, you can't hit either one of them too thick right now.
Now maybe changing their mind. Seems like Sarah doesn't necessarily love the call.
I don't love it either, but I don't see a better option, so it's just a bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if you can make it, it's the best shot. You just don't necessarily want to have to try to make it.
Exactly.
Nothing at all from Agnes and Sophia. Can't hit too much of this red. Oh, boy, that was close to the worst possible result.
Yeah, they switched the turn after Sarah asked the question, and obviously we don't know exactly what they were saying, but I think with that turn you brought on the risk of doing that more often. Even if you dead jammed it on the back one, I think it still would have been better than this situation where now there's a pocket and a red rock that's sort of behind the guard.
We'll see if Minji Kim can pounce here. Mistake from Sarah McManus. Would love to get some separation on these reds.
I would have been tempted to throw a freeze in this pocket, personally.
I'm sure you wouldn't have been tempted to hit and roll out completely.
No. Yeah, that's not the result they were looking for, but I just don't know that you needed to do that yet. You certainly had to stick it if you were going to play it, but also couldn't stick it too close to set up the double. That's why I didn't love it. If you just freeze anywhere in the pocket, even if you dead freeze on your red, you're leaving your multiple point option alive for a little bit longer. If this is made, it's not gone, but it's looking a little bleak.
The chase on now for Anna Hasselborg, and if this is made, it's looking very likely a force. That is by the guard, and can you get the red out the back? Wow, geez, you're right, Chelsea. Like, these houses, there's just no lively springing off those rocks at all.
No, it's shockingly dead, and these teams aren't used to that, especially at the Grand Slam events. We don't normally see that, so they were never worried about the speed there.
Never.
And
I wouldn't have been either.
No,
I thought it was a made shot.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as she got by the guard, that's made.
Yeah, it didn't look like it should be a concern, but it's just there's just no carry, the weight transfer isn't what we're used to seeing, and it's just been fooling not only both these teams, but in the earlier draw that I was watching, fooled the teams there too.
Yeah, interesting.
And the thing is, you don't want to have to throw it any harder than that. You want to throw that soft, controlled weight. You're sort of 11 and a half. Like, that's what these guys play all the time. But right now, it's not enough to necessarily. If you don't hit it right on the nose, it's not enough to kill that rock.
Yeah. Well, and it just makes chases so much harder too.
Way harder
when you have to up that weight. And yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So this was unfortunate for Anna Hasselborg. Did pretty much everything she wanted to do, but has now left Eunji Kim with an open hit to lie to.
Needs to roll away, but stick the shooter here, though.
Yeah, this is hanging a bit. Okay, it's coming now. I don't want to set up a double here. That's your main concern. And I think the double's there if Anna wants to take it on.
Yeah, it's definitely there. And why wouldn't you take it on?
Yeah,
You're giving up 2 anyway, so why not? And few women in the world better equipped to throw it than Anna Hasselborg. You need to throw this hard, but she can certainly do that.
Well, and as you say, Chelsea, they've probably seen enough of the house now to know you got to whip this one pretty good.
Yeah, and even if you don't, like if you come over to that one and just bump it, your shooter likely stays mostly behind those guards. So even if you didn't kill it, but you don't have to move it very far to sit at least 2. It's only got to go a few inches.
Yeah.
miss this on the thick side, and you might just play a straight hit and roll behind those corners. Wouldn't be the worst either.
Some nice applause there from the Team Vrano cheering section. I believe a bunch of the parents are here this week, so I'm guessing that's the cheering section. I know that I think Almeida and Isabella and Maria all have their parents here this week. So big Swedish contingent here in Toronto, and no doubt they will also be at least partly cheering on Anna Hasselborg, looking for a double here with her last in the third. She's got one, but just goes by the back of the second one. As you said, Chelsea, weight certainly wasn't a problem there. That red was going to go for fun if it made contact, but just rolls under, and so it's an open draw to pretty much the paint. You just need full 12 here if you're AMJ Gim to tie this game.
Yeah, probably not the most well-earned deuce we've seen, but just again, that it's so hard to make those chases with. If Anna threw that with more weight than she threw it with, you run the risk of going by everything anyway, because you needed that finish past the guard. So it's like, what do? You can't throw it hard enough to make it. So it's just really putting a bit of a wrench in the plans of a lot of these teams right now.
Final stone, AMJ Gim looking to get all 2 points back, tie this game. And the sweepers will watch it slide into the forefoot. And it will be 2. We will be tied. Anna Hasselborg will have the hammer once again in end number 4.
Let me say what's best for me, to feel at ease, to feel happy. Lovely weather with the breeze, the simplest things. Sad love.
Rio Mare. Great taste needs little. Prime quality tuna and selected olive oil. Rio Mare, the real taste of Italy.
Or 2. Not never really looking like they were going to get 2 was Team Gim, but sometimes you sneak in through the back door, you pick up 2, and that's exactly what happened for Team Gim. We are all tied up here. First draw for both of these teams of the event. It's the 3rd draw overall. Reminder that we do have the 3 other draws available on the Home Team Network, all for free, all streaming, also on the GSOC app. Right in front of us, Brad Gujou and Matt Dunstone in an All-Canada battle. They are tied at 1, playing the 4th, Gujou with the hammer. It's an all-Swiss battle beside them. They traveled probably about 6,000 kilometers from their respective homes to play each other here in Canada. It's Yannick Schwaller, he of the recent Men's World's silver medal, leading Marco Hussli 3-1, and Schwaller also has the hammer, so a great start for those men's silver medalists. And beside our feature sheet, it is the other Swedish women's team in action here this week. Team Vrano and Team Kim tied at 2. They're in the 3rd, Team Kim with the hammer in that one. Again, all those games available on Home Team Network. The Gujou Dunstone game available with commentary. Our esteemed colleague Tyler George being joined by Carrie Anerson this evening. So you can tune into that one, or get the double box up, whatever you're feeling at home. Lots of great action coming to you all week long here from Toronto. Every game streamed for the 5th slam in a row. And a similarly aggressive start here, Chelsea. Center guard up, corner guard up.
Yeah, awfully long corner guard, though, so I'm not sure how useful that's going to be unless they throw a tight one in addition to it. And if you did throw a tight one, then it all of a sudden becomes hard to come around it because that guard's not very far off the center line, and the center guard might be in your path. So it'll be interesting to see what Team Hasselborg does here next.
For Team Gim, the call a little easier. Yeun Seol going to come around that center guard. So Chelsea, you've talked quite a bit so far about these houses being dead. You were a skip. You were in many houses over the course of your career, and I'm sure we'll be in many more. What makes a house dead? I'm sure people are watching this at home and going, okay, you're saying the house is dead. What does that mean? Is it the rocks? Is it the ice? Is it both? What is it?
My guess is it's a little bit of both. The rocks would have been just sharpened before this event, so sometimes that can lead to that more dead feel early in the week, and sometimes it'll get a little better as we go through. We also have seen some, I'm not sure if it's because they're clipping less or what it is, but the speed seems good on the stopwatch, but I kept hearing players this morning talk about the feel being slower than the times. So just that little bit of heavy underfoot often will also mean that the houses are just a little bit more dead as far as the doubles and hits and rolls and that kind of thing.
And is that like a thicker pebble type thing when you say like heavy underfoot?
Not necessarily. It can just be a surface thing. It can be that they're maybe clipping a little less early. It can just be some surfaces just feel that way. You just feel like you have to kick harder, the same as and vice versa. Some of them, you kick out of the hack and it feels like you can't possibly kick slow enough to make a guard or something like that. It's just a little difference between all the things. They have had this event here so many times that I don't foresee it being an issue with the ice. It's just something a little bit different that at least for now, the players are going to have to make an adjustment to compensate for.
Hit and roll here for Suji Kim, and that's pretty darn good. Going to force the double peel, double run out of Agnes Knockenhauer. Yeah, this is my first experience in this building, Chelsea, but it does feel a little warm as well in this building.
Yeah, it is quite warm, and I do often remember it being a little bit frostier. The other thing that they sometimes will do when they've just sharpened the rocks, in order to not have it be curling off the sheet, they'll clip a little bit less. By clipping less, we'll see less curl from the ice itself. The rock will curl more, but it also means that there's more top on that pebble. There's more head, so it can take a little bit longer to break the ice down. The pebble can be that little bit taller and sharper, and that can lead to slow underfoot and to dead houses as well.
So the double peel was made by Agnes Knockenhauer, the guard going back up for Suji Kim. Team Kim fallen off in the rankings a little bit. They were the number 3 ranked team in the world heading into the WFG Masters, but went 0-4 there, which we don't see too often from this Team Kim. Generally very consistent on tour, and then Team Gim rather. So didn't pick up any points there, and then Hasselborg winning the Masters and picking up points at the Women's Worlds catapulted them and a couple other teams above Team Gim. So that guard didn't quite get to the spot Suji Kim would have wanted. This is a chase here for Agnes Knockenhauer. And again, does it have enough juice to get out of the back of the house? Just barely.
And even then, the shooter, they hit that fairly thin as far as how far the shooter rolled. So it's going to be a mental adjustment for all these teams, because if you're thinking you need to hit 3/4 of a rock, you probably need to hit more like half, because it's just not springing off that stone the way they're expecting it to.
Well, and like you said, Chelsea, I feel like when you're so used to, okay, if we just hit this rock here and it'll roll to here, it's so hard to break that habit of, we need to hit about 1/3 of a rock Well, no, you actually have to hit almost half with more weight.
Yes.
It can be very hard to make those adjustments.
It's hard to trust it. So you say that in your head, and then as the rock's coming down, it's hard to bring yourself to call the sweep on when you in your head you're not hitting enough of that rock yet, but you are because because the ice is different, and it's going to take a bit. If it's going to be like this for the rest of the week, it's going to take a little bit for all the skips' heads to adjust with the line calling.
A little overroll on the last stone from Minji Kim, and that will allow Sarah McManus a shot at this wide open red stone. Would love to roll behind the center guard if they can, but that's going to be right on the beak. Another wide open hit for Minji Kim, trying to get that inside roll, and they will overroll again. And maybe that's part of what you're talking about there, Chelsea. They're over curling on these a little bit now because they think they've got to hit a little more of the rock than they actually do, and they're over curling. Or sorry, they're trying to hit more, and it's over curling.
Yeah, and I think there's some merit to that in the sense that it's always easier to correct an overcorrection. So when your head tells you you want to sweep and you know you don't need to, I'd rather see them wait too long for a few, because I think you figure it out faster that way than trying to make little adjustments. That's always just more difficult to do.
And neither team can find that magical roll behind the center guard.
Hits and rolls are hard anyway, and they're even harder when you're when your head's being messed with by the deadness of the house right now.
No kidding. Again, it's a great opportunity for Eunji Kim to set up at the very least a force, but I think where that guard is could even be a steal opportunity if she can make this hit and roll, but it has proven to be quite elusive. First rock for Eunji Kim. Tie game. Trying to set up a steal, but again, that will roll too far. Did throw more weight though, Chelsea, so it does seem like Team Kim has picked up on the dead houses that you've been talking about.
Yeah, she threw that harder and I think gave herself a chance to make it. I think that was more just a release thing than anything else from our camera angle. Looked like she slid maybe a little on the tight side and set that back out a fair amount, which isn't necessarily wrong. It's a way a lot of us throw the rock, but just seemed like it caught her on running just a tiny bit straighter. But if she hit it right there with a hair less weight, it's probably made. So they're just, at least they're playing around with it, which is what you want to see, because if you keep missing the same shot the same way and not changing anything, then what are you doing? So they're trying to figure it out, trying to play around with weights and turns and things to get it kind of nailed with what the conditions currently are.
Well, Anna Hasselborg, the latest to take a turn here. See if she can find this hit and roll behind the center with her first. Calling an audible, trying to roll away there.
Probably fairly happy to blank this. If you were to roll in behind and then the freeze is made, your scoring area is fairly small, so not surprised they made that call, but does leave an opportunity here again for Team Gim to make this. Somebody's due to make it.
Yeah, I know, right? I feel like we're at attempt number 8 or so now.
Yeah.
So I believe that center guard was thrown up with Suji's second stone. So this would be, yeah, this is attempt number 8, if my math is mathing. They always say the 8th time is the charm, Chelsea. We'll see if AMJ Gim can find a hit and roll here. Her last in the 4th. Yayun trying to bring this one over, but that is not going to get there either. So neither team can quite get the right combination of line and weight. And you see Sarah McManus, I think, sharing a bit of a laugh with Minji there, just like, yeah, well, we tried.
That hit and roll's impossible.
Yeah, we tried. we really did.
It's not makeable.
Yeah. Yeah, you have 2 world-class teams here, the world number 3 and the world number 6. Neither one of them can find the shot to put a stamp on this end. So Anna Hasselborg will try to put the final stamp on it here, looking for a blank to keep the hammer into the second half. And no trouble for the Swedish skipper, so we'll put a couple zeros on the board. The game will remain tied. We'll take a 3-minute break. Don't go anywhere.
Let me say what's best for me. To feel at ease, to feel happy. Lovely weather with the breeze. The simplest things. Sad love.
Rio Mare. Great taste meets little. Prime quality tuna and selected olive oil. Rio Mare, the real taste of Italy.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casual.
Hello, curling fans, and welcome back to continuing coverage of the AMJ Campbell Players Championship live from the Mattamy Athletic Centre here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. John Cullen alongside Chelsea Carey for this opening draw between Eunji Kim and Anna Hasselborg. Third draw of the day, but opening draw for these two teams. Trying to get that first win on the board. And Chelsea, it's been a bit of a strange game so far. The team's trying to figure out this sheet of ice, and they've seemed to be tricked by it a few times. It hasn't been necessarily a spectacle of shot making, but it's been a good, solid game. Both teams matched pretty evenly here.
Yeah, I think both teams still just in that kind of learning mode, and we are seeing some conditions that we're maybe not used to at the slams with the dead houses and things. That's pretty unusual. So it's going to take both teams a little while to adjust, but I think they're getting close now. We saw last end be the end of the impossible roll.
Yes,
but
yes, exactly.
But they danced around it, and they're going to get a feel for it. It's just the first game's always a little bit like this, you know, because every ice surface, every building is going to have some different tendencies and things. So just kind of getting that figured out.
Yeah, an unfortunate miss for Yeun Seol on her first allows Sophia Mabergs to hit that red stone in the rings. Now we're going to see the... Oh, I thought we were going to see a center guard put up, but Eunji may be changing her mind here. No, we are going to see indeed the guard go up. And this is, again, talking about that earlier, Chelsea, this Gim team, not afraid to have rocks in play. Some teams I think you might see hit this yellow stone and just say, whatever, we'll blank and take our chances in 6, but that is not how Gim plays the game.
No, and you could hit it on the nose and it would be a center guard. So I think that was the hesitation and maybe the temptation, but if you're looking to try to steal or force, then this for sure is an aggressive call. But to your point, it's not surprising coming from this team. They never shy away from rocks in play. They play with very little fear.
I think if they knew the guard was going to end up there, they probably would have hit the yellow one.
I would have liked that a little longer.
Still decent from Yeun Seol, and Sophia Mabergs will come around everything here.
Yeah, it does the trick. All you're trying to do when you're looking for that kind of forced steal situation is keep the play to the middle, and that certainly accomplishes that.
Yeah, as I said today, I got a chance to hang out with Anna and Eunjung Kim, one of the other two Korean teams in this field. Sung-Yoon Ha rounding out the Korean contingent here in Toronto this week. But it was really cool. It was Eunjung's first ever English interview.
Oh.
So that was fun. I mean, it wasn't so much of an interview as it was we had lunch and they filmed it. But it was cool because Anna and Eunjung have become friends over the years, really bonded over having kids at the same time.
Oh.
And so even though there's a language barrier there, they've really gotten to know each other from playing each other so much over the years and from being mothers and navigating. They both had their kids right before COVID, so
right.
Kind of navigating that challenge as well. And it was just cool to watch the two of them interact. They're clearly friends, even though Anna's speaking her second language and so is Eunjung. They're trying to connect with English. And yeah, it was really great. And it's just been fun getting to know some of these teams on tour that, you know, maybe don't speak English or it's their second language, but a lot of them are trying and they know that they want to help grow the game and want fans to get to know them better. And it was, yeah, just a really, really cool experience, and looking forward to more of that in the years to come from these teams that are really making their mark. I mean, you look at the Players' Championship lineup, and like we said, 3 Korean teams. We're even doing a Korean night on Thursday here at the Grand Slams. All 3 Korean teams will be in action on that draw, and the Japanese contingent has been very strong this year as well, and yeah, it's just been great for the game.
Yeah, it is great for the game, and having gone to play in China and Japan, I haven't gotten to Korea yet, but China and Japan, they love curling, and it's a really cool experience to get to go to that part of the world, and Japan's one of my favorite places I've ever been to, and same kind of thing. I mean, a lot of them don't speak very much English, but it didn't stop us from going for dinners and hanging out, and it was just such a cool thing because somehow, even when you don't speak the same language, you have curling in common, and you just, it's this bond that is unshakable. And I do remember meeting Anna's older daughter in the bubble during the COVID season. She was just a baby.
Right.
And that had to have been tough. So I know a lot of my friends who had babies during COVID bond over that, because it was such a different experience to have this kid and your parents can't even see the baby and your grandparents and stuff, because you don't want to get anyone sick and like just all of this extra stuff. So that's very cool that they've become friends over that.
So a little team talk here, not taking a timeout, but Hasselborg is lying first and third with the hammer. Is this a guard?
It looks like ice for a guard. It could also be ice for freeze on your own, but that would make me a little nervous. It looks like tight ice to come around everything to me, but
yeah, that's what I thought.
It could maybe be ice for that too. Again, depending on the surface. Sometimes if you're throwing a rock 6 feet deeper, you can take the same ice, and on other ice conditions, depending on the break point, you either need more or less because of the extra weight. So hard to say. It's a draw towards something over there. It could be anywhere from like a halfway guard to back 4 foot, but
yeah, we know the line. We just don't know the weight.
Yeah, that's all I can give you right now.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're just joining us, unfortunately, we do not have the player audio. Not that that would have helped us in this situation, because I did learn today that I definitely do not know how to speak Korean. But yeah, we unfortunately got the mics mixed up with the games that are all taking place out here right now, and so we don't have the player audio, unfortunately. But we're doing our best up here to fill you in on what we think the teams might be thinking, and we were right, Chelsea. Our initial thought was that it was going to be a guard, so that was the call. It's quite high, though.
Yeah, I don't think the depth is that bad, but they would have liked it to curl a little bit more. You didn't want to show, if you were going to show one side of the yellow, this is the wrong side to have shown.
Yeah, this does allow for Agnes Knockenhauer to potentially come around that center guard, poke this yellow onto the red, and roll your shooter onto the rings to lie 3 if you make it really good. Mauberg's gesturing, it was a little heavy out of hand. You don't want to be too heavy here. You'd love to stick your shooter if you could.
Just like that, I think.
Will it roll on? Yes,
Yep,
little friendly spin at the end, guided by Sarah McManus, and just like that, Team Hasselborg lying 3. Great shot from Agnes Knockenhauer.
In trouble now for Team Gim.
Minji trying to get that Yellowstone moving out from behind that guard, but doesn't quite get there. Score update for you in the other Sweden versus South Korea game out here. It is Isabella Vrano facing off against Eunjung Kim, and Kim dropping a 4-ball of knowledge on Isabella in the 4th end, so they now lead 6-2. That was an end where, even from the commentator's position, was looking over and thinking, ooh, there's a lot of Yellowstone stacking up over there, and Eunjung finding a way to make most of them count. So 6-2, Kim leads Vrano. Hit and roll, want some separation here. Very nice from Sarah McManus.
I think they might have called the audible there. I think the initial call was to roll under that guard, but when it was over curling, really smart by Anna to get the sweepers off of it and roll it big and flat, so there's no double on those 2 stones, and the trouble continues here for Team Gim.
Yeah, this is it's not great. Not great if you're Team Gim. That's my expert analysis.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what analysis that is.
Well, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you are absolutely not wrong. You are 1,000% right.
Yeah, there's just really no obvious escape. I mean, AMJ gesturing for the freeze, and I'd be very scared to play that.
Yeah, but I don't know what else you do.
Yeah, again, it's the same thing we were talking about in the second end when they ended up giving up 2, where they froze, and yeah, you're right.
At least it outcounts the other 2, and then
Yes.
hopefully if Anna plays something, she doesn't get the red all the way out. I don't. The only other option I see is to hit and roll off the wide one, perfectly buried, but that's so much harder than freezing, and I'm not sure the result is really that much better, other than you kill a yellow stone. This is where, again, that red guard, it was fine at the time because there was a tight guard as well, but now it's too long to provide you much coverage when you make this freeze.
So this is a massive shot here for Minji Kim. Needs to get this at least somewhere close with Hasselborg lying 3 with hammer. You don't love to see the sweepers picking it up this early for weight.
No, they really got to go to get this there. That looks very light.
Yeah, Kim and Seol trying. Seol trying to utilize the jump sweep method, but great try. Didn't quite get there though, and they are counting second shot, but probably not for long.
Third shot.
Sorry, yes, third shot, that's what I meant.
The line would have been good too, I think, if it had a bit more weight, just a little bit light, kind of all the way right out of hand there. Anna's going to ignore it and peel this. I think this is a smart call. Life gets even scarier for Team Gim without a guard there.
Yeah, I guess there's just enough separation.
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay, or you just do that for fun.
That's a whoops.
Whoopsie daisy.
Sorry about that.
Well, I was going to ask you a pointed question about strategy that is no longer relevant because the peel I expected to be made was not made. So I guess it's just same shot here for AMJ.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is it's awfully tempting to play what she ended up doing by accident. But you could have played it softer and tried to stick your shooter, but they're going to play the same freeze. So the reason to peel the guard is so that where does she go now? Where, first of all, for Anna was sitting 1 and 2 at the time already, and there's not really a good draw all of a sudden, and even if there is one, it's a short, it's like an in-the-house run back. It's only a few feet. So I think a super smart call there. Didn't make it, but got away with it anyway.
So again, another huge shot for Team Gim. Hasselborg lying 3, this game tied 2-2. Sweepers definitely like the weight of this one a little better. Now can you get the line right?
Needs to curl a little.
Can't bounce too much either. Ooh, I don't know how good that was.
It's not bad, but it bounced more than they were hoping. Would have liked that to be 2 feet less weight so that it curled all the way to the nose and didn't bounce at all. That guard is so long that you probably could chase this with either turn if you wanted to. Risk being that you also could make it for them. If you touch your own yellow and you spin the red in for shot, then all of a sudden you're not very happy.
Are they thinking they can't get inside it with a hit, or?
Yeah, I think the concern is that the more natural turn to chase it with, in theory, is the out turn, but it's over buried on that side, so that on the inside you have to get all the way across it, and with how dead the house is, you better not touch that yellow or else the red's probably staying in the forefoot. Could peel the guard again.
Yeah.
Then it gives her a chance at the come around, but then you still probably have a run for at least one.
Yeah, you could maybe play the double too, or like the red into yellow. Your shooter hits the yellow, lie 2, and force Anna to 1 that way if you peel the guard.
Yeah, yeah, true. You could come around all of this, but you might leave a double. Although that yellow is reasonably buried. Like you could come around everything with the in-turn around that stagger and sit 2 that way.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, you'd just be wary of not leaving a double, and if AMJ made that double, she's probably lying 2 afterwards.
The double, I don't think you can throw it with much weight because we're not right behind the sheet, but I think that yellow is probably at least half buried, if not more than that, with that long red guard.
So they are going to peel the guard, and you heard Anna demonstrate my shot there. They're saying she is a little worried that if they peel this, then they would have the double off of their own red, but of course that is risky. You hit that a little bit thin or a little bit thick, and you're probably giving up 3, so.
One, at least for Anna, worst case, you're going to have a makeable shot for 1. If you don't peel this guard and a shot is made, you might be in danger of giving up a steal. So I think prudent, as much as it feels like you should be getting 2 or 3 or 4 this end, it's smart to make sure you have a shot for 1. And for Team Gim, you still have to make that shot, and it's not a gimme. This one needs to curl too.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Wow. 2 of the better big weight players, Anna Hasselborg and Sarah McManus, both sailing the peel attempt, and in this case proving much more catastrophic as Anna doesn't have a red rock to get a piece of, peels out her own, and AMJ Gim lies 1.
And in the exact same place too, to see the same team miss in the same spot more than once, especially those 2 with their hitting ability, is shocking.
And it seemed like Anna took less ice as well than what she had for Sarah, so I don't know if it was just a case of flaring it a little bit or not quite getting to the broom, but yeah, very unfortunate there for Team Hasselborg. And this is all of a sudden after an end where it was looking like you were going to put a crooked number on the board, you might give up a steal here.
Yeah, best case scenario, you're going to be forced, but if this roll is made well, it could be a steal of 2 pretty easily if you're not careful.
AMJ Gim's last. Hoping to pull a steal attempt out of the fire here. Looking for a big roll, does not quite find it. But I think that probably forces Anna. I don't see any double there. I mean, there is one, but it's very difficult. You're probably never going to be chasing it because you got to look at this on the replay. Just got really close to hitting it in the perfect spot.
Yeah, any more curl and they would have probably been okay, but it is going to leave a little. I'm not sure if nose will be good enough. It's close, but they'll be trying to get a little inside here just to ensure their single point.
So final stone for Anna Hasselborg here in the 5th. Open hit for 1. And this is floating too. Sophia Malberg's trying to bring this over. This is hanging big time. Is she going to give up a steal of 2 here? Wow. She will not give up a steal of 2, but does give up a steal of 1. So after an extremely well-played end by Team Hasselborg through the first 5 stones, the last 3 all misses. Team Gim steals 1.
When it comes to the game we love, Having the right gear makes all the difference.
Goldline's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms? Light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
Very unfortunate for Team Hasselborg. A couple misses wide on hits, got caught maybe in some straight spots. They give up a steal when it looked like they were in control for a multiple score. Chelsea, where's your headspace at right now if you're Team Hasselborg? Because that was a big kick in the teeth from where I'm sitting.
Yeah, it's definitely a big kick in the teeth. You're not happy with that at all. That came out of nowhere. It looked like you were going to get, 2 or 3 at least, probably, for most of that end. And then a couple misses, and a couple of misses the same way by 2 of the best hitters in the women's game, and Sarah McManus and Anna Hasselborg. So really have to park that. The good news for them is that it was in an odd end, so now they still have the hammer in 6, only down 1 point. You just really have to, in these games, coming into games like this, especially early in the week when you're seeing maybe some differences in the ice, you have to come in going, both teams are going to miss shots, so we can't get frustrated when we miss. It's not if we miss, it's when we miss. We have to just learn from it, what went wrong, what do we do different next time, and then park it and keep your emotions out of it as much as possible. And Team Hasselborg, while a reasonably emotional team, especially Anna herself, they have enough experience that I'm sure that they'll manage this very well from that standpoint.
Yeah, looking at the scoreboard, you're definitely not feeling horrible if you're Team Hasselborg. You still do have the hammer here in 6. If you get 2, you'll have a 1-point lead. So you'll probably be feeling pretty good about that. But you do have to get that 2 here.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if somebody told you going into the game that you were going to be in this situation, you wouldn't be that sad about it, but it feels worse than that right now because of how it happened. But you have to take that part out. That doesn't matter. You just look at the scoreboard and say, okay, what's our next move? What's our next end? How do we get there?
Double guards up here for Gim with the lead. You a little surprised by that, Chelsea?
I'm not, because it's them.
Fair. Yeah.
I don't know that you'd see a lot of teams do that. I don't mind it, though, because what you really, really want here is a force. And everybody thinks a double guard is a steal play. And while it is sort of your only option if you're trying to steal, I would suggest it's as good a force play, maybe a better force play than it is a steal play. So if you're really trying hard to force, I like it. They came a little bit too close together, and they're not perfectly lined up, but conceptually I don't mind it. It's gutsy, but I'm not surprised that with Team Gim, with the way they like to play, I'm not surprised they did it.
No question. No question. We talked about it right from the start of this game. Very aggressive, and this is the front of the house starting to look like the old days before we had nippers, when the first end was just throw it as hard as you can and hope to get it in play.
Yeah, no pregame practice and no running rocks and no clipping or anything. It was just fresh pebble.
Yeah, first rock, T-line weight was like 10-5.
Yeah, like a easy weight hit. Yeah. We're aging ourselves here,
I know.
John.
Well, playing lead my whole life, I definitely played in those days where you flipped a coin for hammer and then flipped a coin for hammer and then went out there and
guest
Guest
for a couple
guest
ends.
for at least one end for sure. I used to love those opening ends. You have 9 guards up. Nobody can hit the house.
We used to purposely wait for another team to throw a rock and time it
Yeah.
so that we had some idea. But
Smart.
yes, I wasn't elite, but I did play in those days as well.
Yeah, we are old. There's
We
no
are.
no
It's
question
true.
about that.
It's really unfortunate.
Okay, so Agnes looking for the double peel, ends up peeling out one of her own.
Not the best.
Gim still lying 1 here.
And, I mean, move that rock even a little bit closer to the pinhole, which they won't be terribly happy about.
Suji Kim being asked to draw a second rock in.
Yeah, it's interesting to throw 2 guards off the bat and then go in now.
That was kind of my thought as well.
I sort of like another long guard on this. And the other thing about throwing a long guard is that it also blocks the out-turn path around that corner guard. So it's sort of double duty.
Yeah, most likely if you do that, you're delaying the end. I think you'd almost certainly see Anna go to peel it.
Yes, exactly. And this is feeling like it has more of a chance to be a blank than I think this Korean team would prefer.
Straight run called here for Agnes Nockenhauer. And how about that? Does it get the third out? Yes, I think so.
That's
Pretty
close.
I mean, close enough. Really good shot from Agnes Nockenhauer. Just about gets rid of all 3 reds. Take another look.
Beautifully done, but that's what you do when you go into the house. If you threw a long guard on that, it would have been a lot harder. The rocks just have more separation. By doing that, you're grouping them, and granted, that's a very hard shot, but you also know who you're playing against. Agnes is great at those. I wouldn't want to leave it for her.
Yeah, and as you said, maybe a little bit strange given they threw the 2 center guards early too. Seems like a little bit of inconsistent strategy.
Yeah, it's like a shift in gears when it didn't really call for that.
Draw made. Minji Kim, Sarah McManus now hoping to hit this one right on the nose, stick behind the center guard. Doesn't quite get it on the nose, but does get it out and rolls to shot in the 12-foot.
Really good result if that red is out.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's on to me.
It does to me too, but sometimes our overhead is a little deceptive. But
For
even
sure.
from where we're standing, we're on the side of the sheet that would make it look out to me, and it looks in.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
if
I
I
think
was
it's
betting, I
probably
would
in.
say it's in, which then that result's not as good because now these are going to be spread out.
Yes, totally.
But you do still have some guards to work with. If that is in, I would imagine we'll see Team Hasselborg change gears here and be playing pretty hard for 2. Because with all those runbacks, I think they were thinking blank a little bit maybe, but that's not going to be an option if this is stuck, but they're sweeping this to get it to curl.
Yeah, can't roll out here. And that will go right out the back. Okay, well, we are going to see Anna ignore that one in the 12-foot. Come around the center guard here. I mean, I suppose hitting that one in the 12-foot would be very defensive.
Yeah, and the problem is with these 2 guards, especially against Team Gim, there's a reasonable chance they would then ignore it, so you kind of want to get there first.
Yeah, I think that's almost certainly what they would do. Especially this late in the end, it'd be Unji's first, so I think he would almost certainly be doing that.
And if, like, as much as you don't love being forced here, for Team Hasselborg, if you're forced and then you can force or steal, as long as somebody scores 1 in 7, you're not that upset about your situation either. And if you could ever get 2, obviously it's ideal. So I like this call.
I think that might have just curled into the hole here.
Yeah, it's not. It's pretty buried still. I do think you could chase it if you wanted to, but you better make it through the hole. If you chip the center guard, you might push it into the house.
It's definitely a super tough hole, no question.
It's pretty high. You could also go around everything.
It does look like NG is sizing up the hole.
Yeah, she's going to try it.
How did I know? How did I know that's what she was going to do?
I was just going to say, we'll see, though, if she likes it when she gets to the hack. I have a feeling it's going to look worse from down there.
No, you're right. It's very tight. It wouldn't be much more than a rock width, I wouldn't think.
Well, and the problem is, if the corner guard wasn't there, then it's pretty easy because you can just have it be out there and carve it at the end to get it to curl and you're okay. But you've got to also navigate that port, which isn't huge. So it just makes it a little tougher.
So a timeout here for Team Gim. Guy Hemmings on the bench for Team Gim tonight, and likely passing off instructions to the Korean team coach who speaks the language.
Yeah, I would think so, of course. The man, the myth, the legend himself on the bench, Mr. Guy Hemmings, the one and only.
The one and only.
He's been involved with this team for a little while now.
That might have been one of those timeouts where you come out and you say, look, we're not playing the hole. Stop looking at it. Don't even look at it anymore. Stop it.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Give it up. Sometimes it's important to do as a coach. You can get a skip, especially one who's as aggressive as NG, and they see a shot and you're also seeing it as the coach and you go, geez, that's a really low percentage shot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's when your confidence as a skip can be both like a positive thing and a negative thing, because you don't even think about missing it. Oh, no problem, I'll just go through this hole. And then the bench is going, well, yeah, but what if you don't get through this hole?
Exactly.
Like, this could be a disaster. So this was my first thought. Just try to draw around everything. That rock is high enough in the house that you could be back 4 foot here. You could probably over-bury it and make a chase or a freeze or something.
Both sweepers on it. This is NG Gim's first.
Looks a little light.
Yeah, I think line is okay, but with the speed, does it get by? It does get by. Does it stop? Really good sweep there from Kim and Seol.
Yeah, the problem is by stopping that high, it's chaseable. If that, on that exact same line, if they could have got it to back 4 foot, it would have been fully buried. Now Anna can make this little hit and roll with like a solid hack, maybe quiet bumper board weight, and roll to the wing and set up an open deuce. And then it's going to be decision time. Do you give her the deuce? You probably do. Just hit it and give her the 2, or do you go around again?
So we'll see if Anna makes the adjustment here. She's coming off of 2 straight misses last end, and one of those skips that you just really don't see throw 2 zeros. See if she can rebound here. Just needs to get a little piece of this red, move it out of the 8 foot, and stick her shooter to lie 2. This is really curling now. Moberg's trying to hold it, and no.
Wow.
Just a little less weight than they wanted. I mean, that's barely through the rings.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have killed the red even if it hit it.
No, it's just probably a just barely hack weight, I think. So that's now 3 on the trot for Anna Hasselborg. We just do not see that from her very often. And now this is setting up to be another potential steal for NG Gim.
Yeah, and she made that hole even smaller because she would have had that option too, but by moving that guard over a little bit, now the hole may not even be there, and if it is, it would have to curl a long way to get to that yellow, where before that was an option. So you could just throw a guard here if you wanted to, but I think they're worried about her playing some sort of run combo for 2. So by going into the house, by making a freeze, then the run rock in theory wouldn't count.
Yeah, I mean, even though Anna has missed a couple in a row here, I would also be scared of her throwing the run back.
So would I.
She's very consistent with them, and you can't give up 2 here after the end you've had.
Exactly, and you also just can't. Like, Anna Hasselborg is too good to keep missing shots, so she at some point she's going to make one, and so then where do you put this so that if she makes it, it's only for 1 and not 2, or force her to draw? I'd be tempted to do the same thing, just draw around everything again. Exactly what she just did with a couple more feet of weight. Make her make the draw against 2. The freeze isn't bad as long as you don't over curl it. If you over curl it, then you'll leave her the same shot she just threw for the 2 points. But if you under curl it, you leave a double. So it's just a little bit tricky, which is why I might consider the draw around everything, but looks like they're going to play the freeze. Even if you froze to your own, it would be okay, actually.
Yeah, they've been pretty close on their freeze attempts for most of the game. I'd expect NG will be here. It's her last 6th end, leading by 1. Sweepers on this pretty much right out of the hand. This looks well short.
Yeah, just playing a straight guard now. Pretty well done.
Yeah, now for Anna, the choice. You want to throw the run back or you want to draw for 1?
Yeah, it just depends. I think it depends how good she feels about the draw. The draw is no gimme.
Yeah.
But if you felt good about it, then you'd like to score your 1. If you don't feel confident about making the draw, you may as well try the run back. It's a better result, and if you feel like it's not that much more difficult, then it's worth a shot.
I would tend to agree. I think I'd be tempted by the run back here.
Yeah, especially Anna Hasselborg is just so good and consistent with these. It's hard not to look at it because you might get 1 out of the run back too.
For sure.
As long as you make contact with that yellow, you're probably getting 1. So worth a try. You also have a catcher in that red on the side as well, potentially.
Yeah, I was going to say the margin for error here feels
reasonably large.
Reasonable, yeah, definitely. You don't need to dead stick this by any means.
No, it's still not much margin on the first rock, but there's a lot of good things that can happen in the house as long as you're close.
Yeah. This would be an early candidate for shot of the week if it's made here. About a 10-foot slight angle run back here for Anna Hasselborg. Final stone here in 6. Sounds close. Sounds close. Does she have it? Oh, no. Does it go far enough? Yes, it does.
Just barely.
Wow, just barely. Didn't throw a ton of weight at that. My goodness, I thought with these dead houses that red was going to stick in the 4-foot, but we get another look here. Great sweep from Agnes Knockenhauer. Great awareness to pick it up at the back of the house. Sweeps it out of the 8-foot. Anna Hasselborg gets her 2 the hard way. She leads 4-3.
The 2025-2026 Grand Slam of Curling schedule is out, with big events happening all over Canada, like the Masters heading to London in September. The Tour Challenge from Nisku this October. The Canadian Open from Saskatoon in December. And the Players' Championship from Steinbeck coming in January. Early bird weekend and full event passes on sale now at gsoctickets.com. Let's rock.
Sometimes that's all you need as a skip, Chelsea. We talked about it before she threw her last. Anna Hasselborg had missed 3 in a row. That makes a phenomenal 10-foot angle run to pick up her deuce in the 6th. That's got to do a lot for the confidence.
Yeah, they needed that and she needed that because basically Anna, and with a little bit of help from Sarah, created that momentum swing themselves in the last end when it looked like they were going to get 2 or 3 and then ended up giving up the steal. So then was looking like they were in trouble again, really needed something to shift that momentum back, and that might have been the thing.
Yeah, we'll see if she can find it here. But definitely a good spot to be in, up 4-3. And this one sliding a little deep for Yeun Seol.
Yeah, that won't be what they would have wanted. This is always an interesting end with this scoreboard because the math says you'd rather be Anna Hasselborg right now. If this end were to be blanked, you'd rather be 1 up without coming home. But for Team Gim, if you ever got forced, it's a disaster. So it's one of those where do you try to get 2 because your odds are slightly better, but then you risk your odds being terrible? Or do you just take it because right now it's about 45-55 if it were to be a blank end. So it seems like Team Gim came into this with a plan that they'd be quite happy to blank this.
Yeah, you tend to see this sometimes in the 7th end where it's almost like both teams are happy with that.
Yes, yeah.
Anna likes her slight house advantage of being up 1, having that 55% advantage, but Gim thinks 45 could be better than potential alternatives, and
yeah,
the teams sort of silently agree.
Yeah, and I think if they almost, that's almost a little bit of like a Donnie B3 kind of play by Team Gim, and I don't think they did it on purpose, but if they'd made that well, if that was top 4-foot, you probably would have seen Anna Hasselborg freeze, and because she would love to force, but she's not going to throw a second guard because you don't need to take that risk on. So by that rock like spilling out into the open, it's almost like a sneaky on purpose play if what you want is the blank. Because then Anna, of course, is going to hit it, and then but you had to stick on that one.
Yeah, unfortunately does roll out for Seol. This will give Agnes a chance to come around the center guard as we have our first final, the all-Swiss matchup between Schwaller and Husley. Yannick Schwaller winning that one 7-1. So they will start their Players' Championship 1-0. Husley will fall to 0-1. In our other games, it is Brad Guju leading Matt Dunstone 3-2. They blanked the 6th end. Guju has the hammer, playing 7. And Isabella Vrano was down 4, 6-2. Had a shot for 3 in the 5th end, settled for 1, but stole 1 in the 6th. So that one is now 6-4. Kim with the hammer in 7. All the remaining games available on Home Team Network. So that draw sliding a little deep for Agnes. Team Gim can chase it here. This one is flirting with the center guard though. And unfortunately that will be all over it. for Suji. You definitely don't want to get forced here if you're Team Gim.
You might see them switch gears here at some point and try to play a freeze or something to set up 2, because at some point you got to bail on the idea that you're going to get the blank, and you really don't want to only get 1, so you may as well try to set up 2. Go on this one too,
yeah,
though.
Sarah McManus really leaning on it, but that is also all over the guard. Leaves 2 centers up here, or a center and a hybrid corner, whatever you prefer.
Effectively 2 centers right
yeah,
now,
exactly.
just 2 centers beside each other instead of
Maybe
stacked.
That's just my like lizard brain that's always anticipating someone at home being like, well, one of them's not really on the center.
That's probably true. And this is one where I'm not even sure this is what they want to play, but I don't know what else you do. If you play double peel, you leave a rock in the house, it's potentially an open force. They just draw to the wing, and you have no way to generate the 2. So whether you like it or not, you almost have to try for 2 now for Team Gim.
Yeah, definitely slowing the game down here a little bit, not chasing that yellow, going for a draw. That slides a smidge deep.
Oh, that's the worst place you could have put that.
Yeah, Suji, not a great pair there.
Deeper would have been better. Shorter obviously was ideal, but anywhere but back button. Now if Sarah McManus wells a freeze, that could be the rock that scores.
Sarah McManus setting up the freeze, and a reminder we'll be back with continuing coverage at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Sounding like you're on that game.
I am on that game, yeah.
Partner.
I got the short turnaround. It's going to be rough.
Jeez, my goodness. Make sure you get a good sleep tonight, as unfortunately Sarah McManus now, her turn to be all over the guard. And that was a really good chance for Team Hasselborg to effectively shut this end down, but it will be Bruce Mowat facing off against Corey Dropkin in the feature game tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 5 a.m. Pacific. So make sure you join us for that. And we'll have, of course, every draw, every game for you all week long. We now settle into our familiar rhythm, 8 a.m., 11:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. local every day until Friday. This looks light too. Suji and Yeun trying to hold this, but this also looks like it's on the guard, and it is. So I don't know if that path is just really slowing down. Chelsea, it is in the slide path.
Yeah, it might be, but when I watched Sarah's, I thought that it just wasn't as positive a release as I was expecting. So what can happen on ice like this, especially if it is starting to fudge a little bit through there, is it'll curl a little bit more, and it'll penalize you more if you don't have that positive set, that outward motion, that little bit of extra rotation. So it could be, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg situation as far as, was it the weight that caused the problem, or was the weight a result of the fact that it wasn't set enough in the first place? Because that will drag the speed off. So I'm not sure which of those two things is going on, but one of them would likely be the culprit.
So Team Hasselborg using their first time out here. They do not have Coach Christian Lindstrom with them. So it is just a free solo timeout here for the team. Since we don't have the benefit of the player mics here, Chelsea, what do you see as the options they're likely mulling over here?
Well, I think if you think that double peel on the yellows will also catch the red, then I think you'd like the red guard, not the one in the house, then you'd love to do that, but it's borderline to touch it. But you need to get something. The problem is they don't have a tap. They don't have a way in there. You could just draw, but the challenge is that if you draw one way, then they'll still have a draw the other way. I would still be a little tempted to draw with the out turn because that in turn draw looks tough to me. It's going to have to curl a mile past that guard. That yellow guard is further out on that side. But it looks like they're looking at... You could also play this with just soft weight, just like a tap, and try to rearrange those angles and punch one of yours into the house.
Yeah, I do wonder if they're maybe a little gun shy about drawing here too,
yes,
right? Because you have just seen 3 draws in a row kind of all come up short. I know it'd be a different draw path, but...
Well, but that might be worse because it's going to be the widest you've been to make it. So then it's a guess out there for speed probably because there's likely some fresh pebbles. So how much slower is it going to be and all that stuff. So it's hard to blame them for being... So they're not... I thought they might play this quiet. They're not. She's throwing it hard with that broom, hoping that it clips that red probably.
Yes, opting to play it loud instead of quiet.
Yeah, this one will probably be quite loud. This is the spot where we saw the peels run really straight before. We saw both Sarah and Anna flash, so they're taking almost no ice, but watch the release from Sarah here. I imagine it won't be super positive.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely straight through on that one. Malberg's on it right out of the hand. Does it catch that red? It does. And how about the red in the house too? Really good from Sarah McManus. Maybe a little unlucky to just hit that red on the wrong side of it when that yellow came back into the house. If you could have ever hit it on the right side of the stone as we were looking at it there, that would have been really, really good. But as it stands, nice shot from Sarah McManus.
Yeah, it feels counterintuitive when you're trying to get a force to peel rocks in the middle, but there just wasn't really a great option. And if they felt good about that wide draw weight, like we were just saying, then I think they probably would have done that. But given that they didn't, I think that's an okay result, even though it didn't hit it perfect. But it's hard not to group these, and you've still got some options. And even if you gave up the 2 for Team Hasselborg, you're not devastated by that. It's not an ideal result, but it doesn't, you're still very much in the game then.
Yun Seol on this right out of the hand. This is curling a mile.
Oh man.
Minji must have got this started. That's not even close. Disastrous result for Team Gim.
Yeah, she must have hooked that. We haven't really seen crazy curl like that anywhere on the sheet so far, so I would think that was a release issue.
They did get a little fortunate here, Chelsea, that they rolled that red mostly behind the corner guard.
Yeah, pretty lucky on that one for sure. I do think Anna can still probably get somewhere close to the nose of this, but you also don't want to play it cute. You have to get by that guard.
First stone for Anna Hasselborg, 7th end. The chase is on. Trying to capitalize on a Minji Kim mistake. And no trouble there for Anna Hasselborg. They sit 2. And I'm guessing Chelsea, maybe Unji's got to get a little aggressive here. No, she's maybe going to go for the blank.
Yeah, I think you're playing for the blank now. Don't see a great hit and roll or your shot anyway, so you may as well try for your blank end. Both, I mean, Unji sort of started the end out seeming like that's what she wanted anyways, so I think you shift back to that now and just make the double, and Anna's going to try to hit and roll buried somewhere, but you hope that you can chase it and get your blank out of it.
Key here for Unji Gim maybe goes without saying, but you do need to get rid of both of these yellows. As we said, worst case scenario here. So she's got one. Does she have the second? Yes, she does. Very nice shot from Eunji Kim. I'm guessing we'll see Anna sell out for the role here.
May as well.
Big steal of one for Matt Dunstone in the 7th end. He's facing off against Brad Guju. That game also available on Home Team Network if you want to switch between ours and theirs, have them both up at the same time. Tyler George and Carrie Anderson on the call for that one. Back to our game. Final stone, Anna Hasselborg here in 7. Trying to make a hit and roll to make Eunji Kim's life difficult on the blank. And will not make her life difficult. This is wide open. Last rock of the 7th end belongs to Eunji Kim. Looking for a blank. Sweeper's on it. Does it have enough juice to get out of the rings? Yes, it does. Shot made. Hasselborg leads 4-3. We're heading to the 8th. Don't go anywhere.
The rock faces around Lake Tahoe are legendary. But this fall, new ones will emerge in the Tahoe Basin. Pullman, Moe, Gushu, and more. November 4th through 9th, the Grand Slam of Curling's first ever event in the U.S. is coming to Lake Tahoe, where the greatest rock stars on earth unite for 6 days of incredible curling, celebrity appearances, and off-break curl parties you won't want to miss. Get your tickets at thegrandslamofcurling.com. Let's rock.
It is the first game of the AMJ Campbell Players Championship for Anna Hasselborg and Eunji Kim, both of them trying to get that important first win here. Anna Hasselborg leading by 1 in the 8th, Kim with the hammer. Sort of a classic scenario here, Chelsea. Down 1 with the hammer. We know Kim likes to play aggressive. We've even seen over the last few years teams kind of admitting defeat in the blank, in the extra before they even play it. So I do wonder how hard we'll see Eunji Kim sell out for the 2 here. But yeah, it's going to be a great finish.
Yeah, I do think you'll see her sell out pretty hard, but we see that in men's curling more than in women's because the odds when the men go, I haven't seen it recently, but last I looked, when the men go into the last end or into an extra end tied without the hammer, their chances of winning are like sub 5%. In the women's game, it's more like somewhere between 10 and 15. It's still not a good chance, but it's better than on the men's side. So you'll see the men play crazy shots because they figure they've got a better than 5% chance of making that shot, and they know they don't have a better than 5% chance of winning tied without the hammer. Where in the women's, you got to have a better than 10 or 15% chance, but still, I think you'll see, especially with how aggressive we know this Team Gim likes to be, we'll see them go pretty hard early to set up the 2.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, that was maybe a little more my thought, not even necessarily playing the numbers, but just that Gim likes to play aggressive anyway, that maybe you'd see him get a little bit more aggressive here. In our other women's game out here this evening, Team Vrano, another steal. They were down 6-2 at the 4th end break. They've now narrowed the gap to 6-5 against Unjung Kim. They are also in the 8th, Kim with the hammer.
Is that phrase death by 1,000 cuts or 100 cuts or something?
1,000. You had it right the first time. Yeah.
That's what it feels like when somebody's wanting you to death like that.
Yeah.
When you feel like you have this lead and then they're slowly chipping away at it, and that you sort of feel like, okay, I'm bleeding now and I'm getting a little worried.
I hate bleeding.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Bleeding isn't fun. So electing not to put a second corner guard up was Unji Gim. Coming around the double centers thrown by Anna Hasselborg. A little light, unfortunately, was Yeun Seol.
I'm not surprised about not putting a second corner guard up, but I think I would have considered going around my existing corner guard.
Yeah, maybe a little early to bring the play to the center.
Yeah, when you do that, you often don't end up using the corner guards. Then why did you throw it? But if you go around it and bury it, they can't hit either rock. And then that's your second point the whole end. So all you have to do is make one double or a good freeze or something, and you give yourself a chance. By doing this, all the play comes to the middle, and there's a reasonable chance that red guard will be there at the end of the end with nothing behind it.
Trying to draw around everything is Agnes Knockenhauer. This looks a little light. McManus and Mauberg's trying to drag it. And that ends up being really good from Knockenhauer. Well managed by the sweepers. That is dead and gone. And that's maybe some of the danger of playing around the center early too, Chelsea. You come up a little bit light, and now that rock is acting against you.
A little bit, but the only good news is you forced Hasselborg's team to throw it with the turn, where now if you follow them and you make that freeze with the in-turn and stay a little bit staggered, then if at any point a run back or something comes into that, your rock might spin behind the corner guard and kill the yellow. Still has to be made though.
Tons of time on the clock here for both teams. Team Gim just now sliding under 6 minutes. Anna Hasselborg with 6:30, both teams with 1 timeout. This is pretty much the opposite of a Kevin Cooey game. It's about as much time as you can have left on the clock in a game this close. And now we are going to see the second timeout taken here by Team Gim.
I think debate between the shot that I mentioned, which is that in-turn freeze, but also you could play, they talked about maybe basically a tick on the tighter guard. If you could ever roll your shooter in behind the corner guard, you'd be pretty happy about that. You could also hit the long guard and roll to a second corner guard on the same side and leave yourself that option as well. Just wanting to keep some rocks in play here and keep your 2 alive, but needing to do something with the middle the way it's sitting right now.
This is interesting. So if you're trying to play this and hit and roll to a corner.
Or even on. This is, you used to see the shot a lot before the no tick rule, where you'd play it with lead stones and you'd chisel it and roll behind. It was the least illegal. It was Rachel Homan's team made it a thing where it's actually an offensive tick because you both lose the center guard and get a rock behind the corner. And I think now because of the no tick rule, we forget that it's still an option. You can do it later in the end. You just can't do it on lead rock. So now it's a skill for a second to master. I really like this call.
We'll see if Suji Kim is up to the task here.
Usually an early sweep's not a great sign.
Yeah, you got to get by the center guard here. Ticking the center doesn't really do a lot of good for you. You got to get by it though. Oh, and that's the worst.
Oh, those are painful.
Absolute worst possible scenario for Team Gim. Hit that top center guard, but you don't even really remove it off the center line, but it's enough to redirect your rock right through the hole. And this is starting to look like a huge advantage for Team Hasselborg.
Yeah, those are tough because you have to. You're so close to getting by that. Do you call the audible to get it to curl? But you have a chance to get it by and make it perfect. If it got by, it would have been so good. So you have to keep sweeping it. And then when you have that feather rub and essentially nothing has changed, it's as if you didn't throw. It's just a knife in the heart for Team Gim on that one.
Agnes put another one in here. That's very good. Really nice pair from Agnes Knockenhauer. Team Hasselborg lying 2. Maybe would have liked it if it curled a little more, I think.
Yeah, I think just maybe a pound heavy. If that had a touch less weight and stayed frozen, it might have been ideal, but we're splitting hairs a bit. That's a really good shot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Suji absolutely has to get this redstone somewhere close, or this game is probably over. Crucial shot here for the Team Gim second. And they're on it again. Oh, wow. Don't know what Unji was seeing to call Yeun off at the hog line there, but good thing she got back on. Pretty good shot.
You probably were trying to roll that under the corner guard, so they could have swept it a bit more aggressively, but still at least makes Anna Hasselborg look at this. You have to roll to somewhere good with this. If you hit this on the nose, you probably leave a double. If you roll a little bit either way, you probably also leave a double, so needing to be a bit careful.
Again, Hasselborg with tons of time on the clock, and they don't have a coach here, so they can effectively take 3 timeouts in a row and not be in any danger. So what did they land on here?
I think they're hitting, I'm not sure. They were talking about rolling big out almost out the other side of that corner guard. I'm not sure if that's what they landed on. I don't think there's really anything. There's not a lot of room to roll to a good place towards the center line, even though that's what your head says you want to do in this situation for Team Hasselborg. So my guess is rolling away.
Yeah, certainly looks like the ice to roll away here. Coming across the face on this one is Sarah McManus.
center
Yeah,
line.
maybe they're not. Maybe they just thought this turn was the only way you could get a good result.
Good shot.
Yeah, how about that?
Real good.
Really good. Yeah, probably did have to throw the out turn to get that little kick up.
Yeah, and I think that's what they were looking for. If you played it across the face, you're probably just kind of rolling into the side of it. You might leave a double back. By throwing that out turn, you get that steeper roll and then that bigger spin up off of the other Yellowstone when you hit it.
Run back try for Minji Kim. Trying to make some noise in the house. Will miss everything, but does get the 2 yellows off the center, so not a horrible result. But Hasselborg still lying 2.
Yeah, the problem is left your shooter up there, and now I don't know how you get to those rocks in the house in any kind of productive way.
What option would they have been considering other than a guard here? I feel like guard feels somewhat obvious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they were just talking about where to put the guard.
Yeah, I think it's sort of what are you guarding?
Right.
Because there isn't a great option right now for Team Gim, so it's one of those ones where you know you need to throw a guard, but it's like, what shot are we actually trying to take away? Like,
Right.
what are we, which is a great problem to have. But it's sort of, yeah, I think it was more just a discussion of exactly where you want the guard, because what is it that we're trying to accomplish with this guard?
Did look like Anna gestured maybe just a little bit off center on the side that Sarah is throwing on.
Yeah, I think you're trying to take away, it looks crazy, but you could maybe make a soft weight in turn, sort of tap on the red onto the yellow and move that yellow out into the open. For Team Gim, I don't see a much better option than that, so I imagine that's what they were looking to take away here.
It's pretty close to where Anna wanted it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly where they wanted it.
We have another final here as Team Eunjung Kim runs Team Isabella Vrano out of stones. So Kim will start the tournament 1-0. Vrano will start it at 0-1. And we have another final as Brad Guju makes an open hit for 1 against Matt Dunstone. So Brad Guju off of his 0-4 run at the WFG Masters, the first time he went winless at a slam since 2008, starts a new streak here tonight as he starts 1-0 in Toronto. Dunstone will start 0-1. And then there was one.
Burning the midnight oil here.
Yeah.
Working us really hard with the only game that's still going.
That's right. So looking like an in-off here for Minji Kim. And this is how you know it's not been the best end. This is a bit of a desperation shot early.
Was exactly how I was going to describe it.
Sorry, didn't mean to take the words out of your mouth.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay, well, doesn't get to stick around, but does get rid of the first shot stone. Hasselborg still lying 1.
Could have been worse, but the problem is that now that rock that you needed to come off to get to the shot stone now is gone.
Exactly, yeah, it just did feel a little early.
talking about the freeze now, the best option I see for Team Gim is to run that long center red guard back, and you could sit 2 that way. So by putting this kind of in the way, they could still make it, but they would only be sitting 1 if this shot is made correctly.
Does this come around everything here, or is this a guard?
I think it's either a freeze or a tight guard, kind of anywhere on that line, just to take away that long run.
First stone for Anna Hasselborg, 8th end, leading by 1, sitting 1, trying to find her way to her first win here at the Players' Championship.
This might over curl.
Yeah, it was a little light.
But it takes the run away anyways because of that stagger, so sneaky good.
Yeah, good audible.
So now you either in-turn draw or you could angle tap that. Looks like they might be straight drawing through this hole.
Doesn't look that big to me.
No, it's not, but if you made it, all of a sudden you're alive.
Yeah, you're alive for 2, that's for sure.
It's certainly big enough to get through because they're almost even, so the stagger doesn't work against you as much. And once you get by the yellow, I don't think you're in much danger of crashing on the red or anything, so then it's just about weight after that. You'd love for it to be an easier shot if you were AMJ Gim, but it's still a shot. You're still alive.
Yeah, based on how things were looking a couple shots ago, I think you'd be pleased you have a chance.
Definitely.
So it's the first stone for AMJ Gim in the 8th end, and it's a critical one. Pretty much has to be made, or it might be night-night. Trying to bring it over here. They're on the corner. Can they get by the corner? No.
Oh, if that got through, it was really close.
Yeah, weight was really close, but unfortunately for AMJ and her team, kind of takes away their own hole, too.
Yeah, you left the stagger. Those are hooked, that red and the yellow, so she's got a wide out-turn draw, and she's got a wide in-turn angle raise. If I'm Anna Hasselborg, I'm okay with leaving her the raise. I think I'm probably trying to just guard and take away the draw, or you could go right in yourself.
Yeah, I'd be tempted by that for sure. I guess the only thing they are worried about is maybe the angle run could be for 2.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of places you could put it. I think it's hard to put it in a place where it's for 2. As long as it curls enough, then I don't think it's for 2. But do you even need to throw it? Or do you just kind of, you could guard this guard, you could hit it. Like if you hit it, she's not got anything for 2. She's just drawing for 1. So it's just a matter of how much pressure you want to put on to try to win right now versus leaving her the draw for 1 and going to the extra end.
I would kind of think that with how well I've played this end and how much I've dominated it, I might be inclined to go in and just say, let's take her now, but sometimes the patient approach is the best approach.
I'm with you, but it's sometimes your gut feeling wanting to be, off the ice now because of the end you've played is a little greedy. So sometimes it's smart to play patient, but I would be tempted to draw around everything with the out turn. I might get talked out of it by my teammates, but I would be tempted.
Yeah, I mean, for AMJ, it's just a case of hitting the forefoot. But
we've seen draw weight be a little bit
definitely
tricky, right? So Normally hitting the forefoot would be something I would expect her to do, and I still do expect her to do it, but it does seem like there's some paths that are a little bit tougher to predict speed-wise here.
Final stone for Anna Hasselborg, and she's hoping it's her last rock of the game. Just trying to guard this potential angle runner for AMJ Gim. That's pretty much exactly what she wanted.
Does the trick.
Yep, and so indeed AMJ Gim will be taking the wide road here and hoping to snag a piece of the forefoot for one. Suji is maybe trying to convince AMJ that they can see enough of that red. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either.
If you have a 15% chance of winning in the extra, what is your chance of making that red angle run? I'm going to say it's less than 15%.
Yeah, I mean, even if you only have a 10% chance of winning, I still think that's more than your chances of making that run. It might be possible, but it's a very low percentage for sure. And again, this is one where because the draw weight is tricky, your chances of stealing all of a sudden go up. Need to make this first for AMJ Gim.
So it all comes down to this. 4-3, Anna Hasselborg leads. AMJ Gim needs to take a tricky wide path and catch a piece of the forefoot to send this to an extra. Final stone here in 8. Sweepers picking it up now. Weight looks like it's coming off. Can Kim and Seol get it there? Weight looks like it's coming off. Do they have enough to get it there? Yes, they do. What a sweep from Suji Kim and Yeun Seol, getting a piece of the forefoot. We got some bonus curling. Don't go anywhere.
The 2025-2026 Grand Slam of Curling schedule is out, with big events happening all over Canada, like the Masters heading to London in September, the Tour Challenge from Nisku this October, the Canadian Open from Saskatoon in December, and the Players' Championship from Steinbeck coming in January. Early bird weekend and full event passes on sale now at gsocktickets.com. Let's rock.
So a very well played 8th end for Anna Hasselborg, but that little in-off that we were maybe giving them some trouble for playing a little early paid off, gave AMJ Gim enough room to make that final draw and send us to this extra.
Yeah, there was a method to the madness there.
Apparently.
And if she ever could have gotten her first one by that outside guard, it might have been for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. So center guard up, draw around from Sophia Maubergs, and we will see the double center up for AMJ Gim here. Again, we will be back with you in just under 12 hours' time, 8 a.m. Eastern. Sorry to remind you of that, Chelsea.
That was like just a knife in the heart to me.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Chelsea will be back tomorrow morning on the call with Tyler George. Bruce Mowat facing off against Corey Dropkin, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. Or if you're watching in Scotland, I believe that's 1 p.m. Scottish time.
That's about right, yeah.
I think so. I'm not a time zone expert, but I think they're 5 hours ahead of here, so if my math is right. Nice shot there from Yeyun. The two centers are indeed up, and now we will see Sophia Maubergs try to freeze another here.
On this hard for line early.
You got by the one, but are you by the second one? I don't think so. And they can't move it off the center, but I guess, it was already off the center. Okay.
Yeah. Got away with it.
So got very lucky there. That could have been an even worse scenario for Team Hasselborg, but as it stands, still not ideal. Clicking that center and rolling at least partly open here. Same issue here for Team Gim. Got to try to get by that guard. Oh my goodness, it's the same as the last end, Chelsea.
Absolutely.
Just that feather tick. Again, almost the worst case scenario there for Suji Kim. It's maybe slightly better than a complete flash, but not by much.
No, heartbreak again. If that got by, it was going to be such a good shot too. So those just really, really hurt.
Agnes Knockenhauer now going to do what she does best. Looking for a run back. Try to get rid of both reds. Dead jams, but does get rid of the top. Sorry, Chelsea.
No, that's okay. That's a little bit of a break for Team Gim, though, because that's second shot now all of a sudden, which could factor in later in this end, potentially. It's a small glimmer of hope, but it's a glimmer.
Freeze the call here for Suji Kim. Doesn't quite freeze either one of them.
Yeah, a little bit betwixt and between there. Needed to either have that curl and sit to freeze more of the top one or get by and have a little bit more weight to freeze the back one. Leaves that red a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, Anna just seeing if maybe Agnes could get all three here. All three reds, I mean. I think certainly you could get three rocks moving, but just looking to see if the angles are there to get all three. It looks like it to me.
It's close.
Yeah, it's close for sure. You just never want to try to get too cute with it and run it straight back onto your own yellow.
Yeah, you could also get two yellows if you did it wrong.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Have to be a little bit careful, but you don't need to get all three either. You want to get them off the center line. So even if you just ran it in to the pocket and spilled those top two, even if it dead jams or misses that side one, you're not that worried about that one right now. You just want to open up this middle of red stones as much as possible.
So we'll see how much damage Knockenhauer can do here. Potential to get all 3 reds going, but you do have to flirt with disaster to do it. Malberg's on it out of the hand. 1, 2, 3. What a shot from Agnes Knockenhauer. Unbelievable. All 3 reds out of the house in one fell swoop, and things are starting to look pretty bleak if you're Team Gim here. What a shot.
She just throws that so hard that the harder you can throw it, the less risky it is, because the rocks are all going to fly and spin off each other way more than they otherwise would. And so you just can mitigate the risk by having that ability to throw that weight so accurately. Not much choice here for Team Gim. Have to throw some guards. You don't really have anything going, but you're going to see a steady diet of peels from Team Hasselborg. No need for them to take any risk now. They're in position A.
Yeah, this was the spot that Sarah missed the peel in the third.
Ooh, she's got this one, but barely.
Yeah, flirted with it again. Didn't mean to put the commentator curse on her, but
nervous moment, but got away with it.
Yeah, great shot from Sarah.
Timeout here for Team Gim.
Yeah, both teams afforded an extra timeout in the extra end. Team Gim making use of it here. This is one of those timeouts where you figure if you stare at the house for an extra 90 seconds, something might change.
It's like when you go to the fridge and then there's nothing in there that you want and you close the door and you go back 5 minutes later. That's very much the same situation
yes,
here.
Exactly.
It's not going to get any better. Nothing is going to materialize, but when there's no good option, you feel like you have to try.
Got to try something. So what are the options here, Chelsea? Because I'm pretty dumb, but looking at it, it doesn't seem to me, unless you get pretty much a straight miss from Anna on her last one, that you're going to have a chance to score here if you're Gim.
Yeah, so I think if you tap that yellow almost straight back, then at least you make a pocket. You hope she straight picks your top one, and then you play a freeze. The only other option I see, and I think this is a better call, you could go around that what's not really a corner guard but kind of is, and then hope you have a chance at a double, but I think that's more of a stretch. I like this tap, I think. Try to set up your pocket. Anna's going to try to kill one of her yellows on the way through, but you have to hope she doesn't, and then you throw a freeze in the pocket.
So Minji Kim indeed looking to tap this yellow back, try to create a pocket behind the tee line in the back 8. Sweeper's on it right away. This doesn't look like it has a ton of juice. This looks way short.
It's quite light.
I think they called the audible pretty early on there, knowing that it was light, going around that yellow. But that doesn't do Team Gim a whole lot of good.
I mean, it does if you get a miss from Sarah
Yes,
McManus on
for
a
sure.
3-foot run back, but I don't
Yeah.
love your chances.
Yeah, that's true. Anytime you get a miss, it will look better for you.
Yes, yeah.
That's for sure. That's true.
Usually the case, yeah.
But no miss there from Sarah, though does leave maybe a little bit of a freeze opportunity here.
Yeah, it's definitely there. Even if you tapped it, yeah, I almost think you want to tap it a little bit.
First rock for Eunji Gim here in the extra, definitely chasing it. Hasselborg lying 3 with hammer. You got to make this one pretty good, or you're likely drawing dead on your last. And again, this looks a hair light.
Yeah, it's curling too. They're going to have to go. It's close.
Seol and Kim trying to hold this. It is definitely over curling. Is the weight in the right ballpark? It is, but does just over curl the face of that Hasselborg stone. I think Gim is shot, so Anna does have to make a play on it. She probably was going to anyway, but.
Yeah, I think the bad news for Team Gim is that I actually think you might be able to lose all 3 of these rocks and your shooter if you hit this in the right place for Anna.
Yeah, there wouldn't be much for Eunji Gim to do if Anna does that. We've talked all game about how good she is with the big weight. First rock for Anna Hasselborg. 9th end. Looking to get a bunch of granite flying, but looks like she really chucked this out. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
That's a couple peels now that we've seen Anna miss on the high side.
I'm surprised by that turn choice. I think I would have been throwing that with the in turn. It looked a lot more natural. You could make it with either one, but to get everything flying, like I was saying, I thought you could. It was the intern all day, and the red would have just had way more action the other way. Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy from up here.
Yeah, of course. We make everything up here.
Yeah, I haven't missed in a while since I started doing this.
Yeah. I've never missed. Yeah, no, that's really tough. We said that Team Gim was going to need a miss from Team Hasselborg, and they got it. Still not a tremendous steal situation, but they're a lot more live than they were just a minute ago.
Well, and the thing is that we have seen it just be that little bit tricky. If we felt like they knew all the spots in the ice and things, then you might You might consider even throwing a guard on this, but I think at this point you want to sit 2 because we've seen hits and rolls, we've seen misses, we've seen flashes. It's uncharacteristic, so especially after Anna just missed that one, I think you want to put this in a place where you force her to make a nose hit on that back rock.
Final stone, Eunji Kim. Lying 1, looking to apply pressure to Anna Hasselborg. Just wants this biting her half in the top 4. Not much from the sweepers. You want this to sit, and unfortunately for Eunji Kim, can't follow up the Anna Hasselborg miss with a great make.
And that's a lot too deep. It makes this, it's a catcher now even. So she doesn't have to make a perfect nose hit. She just has to hit it on the high side and she'll be safe. That's a big miss.
Yeah, to your point, Chelsea, the ice tricky for both teams, and your thought was, well, might be tricky for Anna, but ended up being tricky for Eunji there. Sweepers never really touched it. Comes to the back 4, and now this is a relatively simple shot for Anna to win. Hit it, I think, anywhere high side or on the nose, and you will start the Players' Championship with a win. So final stone, Anna Hasselborg, the final stone of the first day of the AMJ Campbell Players' Championship. And as you'd expect, no mistake from Anna Hasselborg. So it got a little bit dicey in both the 8th end and in the extra, but the team from Sundbyberg prevails. They move to 1-0. Team Gim will fall to 0-1 for Chelsea Carey and the whole Home Team Network crew. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
The 2025-2026 Grand Slam of Curling schedule is out, with big events happening all over Canada, like the Masters heading to London in September, the Tour Challenge from Nisku this October, the Canadian Open from Saskatoon in December, and the Players' Championship from Steinbeck coming in January. Early bird weekend and full event passes on sale now at gsocktickets.com. Let's rock!
Thank you.